Hello everybody, I am ThrashManiac99 and welcome back to Thrash Reviews, where I review albums that have come out in the year 2016, where it all leads up to one of the biggest videos of this channel for the year later in the year, at the end of the year, when I compile the top 20 list of best albums for hard rock and heavy metal in the year 2016. So we continue our journey into that with the brand new release from legendary Norwegian progressive metal band Borknagar. So for those out there who are not familiar with Borknagar, you're about to know what they're all about. Borknagar is a Norwegian metal band that came out in the 1990s, originally as a supergroup featuring members of Immortal, Gorgoroth, Ulver, and other bands along those lines. And they combine different sounds. They combine sounds of black metal with progressive music, with a bit of a folk influence and some Viking metal thrown into the mix, and even pagan metal to some degree. So they combine all that into one wall of sound and just create beautiful music. So Borknagar, with their new release, THRICE, which is their 10th studio album, which is impressive by this point since they've been going at it for 20 plus years. And so with this album comes a bit of an interesting dynamic. They are going for the more pagan metal variety as far as lyrics and storytelling, but keeping the black metal vocals there with the progressive structures and the folk influence into their melodies and styles along those lines, or things along those lines, I should say. So without further ado, we're going to talk about, of course, the bookend tracks as well as my favorite tracks. Which my favorite tracks is every track of the album, virtually, because, well, let's get into it first before I give the score, before I completely mess this up. So we start off the album with a song called The Rhymes of the Mountain. Beautiful song, a very, very beautiful, well thought out track from a band that gets put into that black metal scene a lot, which it's warranted since they're from Norway and they have that vocal approach. Musically, it's not really that. Like I said, it's more like proggy, folky style metal with the black metal vocals, kind of like Enslaved to a degree. And I've heard people say, like, Borknagar was like the black metal's answer to Opeth, because Opeth, everyone knows, did the prog metal stuff with death metal. Borknagar pretty much does the same thing, except with black metal, which is a very unique take on the progressive music subgenre. But with this track came this album, I will say, not just a song, but the whole album had some of the most beautiful vocal harmonies I've ever heard in my life. With ICS Vortex and Vintersorg doing vocal harmonies together and different vocal styles all together, just created beautiful vocals as well as brutal vocals with the black metal style. And the construction of the song makes you go into a trance, and you're just lost in your head just listening to this song, and you feel like you're in a journey climbing up the winter mountains of Scandinavia. The next track I want to talk about is Cold Runs the River. Cold Runs the River, virtually pretty much almost like Rhymes of the Mountain as far as the beauty of it, as well as the storytelling that's going on throughout the song and actually throughout the whole record, to be honest. And again, them vocal harmonies kick in and just knocks you on your ass and just sometimes makes you get a little emotional, and you're just lost for words of just how beautiful the harmonies are, and so on and so forth. The next song I want to talk about is Erodent, which was a near 7-minute song, which once again is another one of those tracks that definitely carries that storytelling aspect of the previous tracks. However, this one had a little more of a chaotic feel to it, with implementing the blast beat drum techniques involved, as well as a little more of the black metal vocals being used on this track a little more. And it just created for a dense, atmospheric track right here. The next track I want to talk about is the bookend track, Terminus, which was the longest track of the album at over 7 minutes. This song pretty much took everything they did with the previous 7 tracks, mesh it all together into an epic finale that continues that idea of mixing the beautiful vocal harmonies with the clean vocals, as well as the real progressive structures, the folky instrumentation going on, and so on and so forth. And this track concluded one hell of an album. Buy this album. This is an album to purchase. And for those wondering what the score is, this album right now is the album of the year, and we're only just not even a whole month in yet. 95 out of 100. There was nothing on this album that I found to be complaint worthy. In fact, this was a near perfect album. This is probably one of the best metal albums I've heard in this current decade. So if, like, say, the channel's still going by the time we reach 2020, and if we do a decade list, or best of the decade, this album could be top 5. It's that great. In my opinion, at least. There are other people that have their own opinions about this album as much as anybody else should have. But for me, despite I know about Borknagar's past, this was the first full Borknagar album I've listened to, because I'm just still working my way up and discovering other bands. And after listening to this album, it makes me want to go back and hear what they did in the past. Because this was one beautiful metal album. But for those out there watching who know Borknagar, what did you guys think of this album? Leave a comment down below and give me your thoughts. I would love to hear what you guys had to say. But anyways, more reviews will be coming soon. The next one, you just gotta keep watching on the channel to find out. But until then, peace out.